Hello and welcome to another SoulCast. And today it is an honor to have Simone, who is a lead teacher of our yoga teacher training at ClearBeing. And now we're actually recording at ClearBeing with Genya. So we're here and it's amazing to have you today, Simone.
Amazing. Hi.
Welcome.
It's always a pleasure and an honor to get to chat with you too. So thank you. I wish I was at ClearBeing right now. It looks gorgeous there.
It is really great. The sun and we have a little fountain. So I was standing and I'm just, oh my God, it's just all the elements here. The ground, we were walking, we were doing some gardening. So it's really amazing with 4 elements here at ClearBeing.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So Simone, tell me how is about the yoga teacher training, and you're the lead teacher. So what is your part that you're teaching at this training?
Actually, what I'm really curious is to hear a little bit more about your experience as a lead teacher and the teacher in the last year, the year that we're now ending.
All right. Yeah, so we just finished our first 200-hour yoga teacher training and beyond at ClearBeing. We didn't finish it. Sorry, we're have 2 more weekends left.
We started in October and we're ending in June, so it's 9 months of yoga teacher training.
We're almost there.
We're getting close to being there, to being done. And my experience has been really transformative and interesting to get to work in depth with such an incredible group of people, souls who came together, who felt the calling to join our training. Really amazing people, and to get to teach, from my heart, and to feel that the teachings were received so openly. So many amazing discussions. I can see how the students are really starting to be able to think critically, to put things together for themselves, to gain that sense of confidence and independence in their abilities as practitioners and teachers has been really fabulous. As the lead teacher, I get to spend a good amount of time with the students, which for me is a gift because you build relationships and you really get to see over the course of 9 months how people grow and change and go through things individually and as a group, which is a beautiful thing to witness and to be part of and to help guide and facilitate. So yeah, it's been a real honor and gift for me to get to spend so much time with the students and to get to spend so much time on the land at ClearBeing also.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, what part, I'm sure people who are watching and listening this Soulcast also curious to learn a little bit more about what did you teach, what was your part, and what inspires you about what are you teaching at ClearBeing, at yoga teacher training beyond?
Yeah, so I get to teach a few different things. I teach the anatomy and physiology, which I'm really passionate about. I believe strongly that if we're going to work with people's physical bodies, especially with the physical body in motion, in movement, it's important that we understand how the body functions. And so the way I approach the anatomy and the physiology is from a very experiential, meaning I want the students to feel for themselves how their anatomy and physiology works so that they can then translate that into their own words, so that they can use that knowledge to inform how they then teach as teachers, so that then if a student comes to them with various challenges in their bodies or aches or pains that are existing for people, that they have some understanding of how to work with that for people, so that we can put classes together that make sense functionally and anatomically. So for example, if we want to work on a specific posture like a back bend or a balance pose, we understand what needs to be awakened, what needs to be strengthened, what joints need to be mobilized, what muscles need to be stretched or lengthened before we can begin to put that pose together. And then that also informs how I teach the asana. I teach asana as part of this training as well. And so the two really go hand in hand. So we understand the anatomy and the physiology so that we can put classes together that make sense functionally, so that we are creating an experience for people that really feels good in their bodies, where their joints are really prepared to take on load or to take on various positions that may have felt impossible for people before they did this work. And so we're bringing in some elements from mobility training, from strength training, from mindful movement, from Pilates, from yoga, and we're putting it together in a way that's really comprehensive and holistic and really looking at the whole person. And so having said that, I also teach sort of the art of teaching. How do we actually step into the role of what it means to be a teacher, to be a facilitator, to hold space for other people? How can we be safer as individuals for ourselves, for our own human experience, so that we can hold space for other people to have a human experience? And so sometimes some of this can be a little bit uncomfortable as we grapple with some of the challenges of what it is to be human in our modern Western society and culture. And then what are the tools that we can draw on to help us be more grounded physically in our bodies, feel connection inwards so that we can begin to really connect outwards? So I always say, yoga is a practice we do for ourselves, but it's also a gift that we give to the world at the same time. And so the students can work on their relationship with themselves, and in that way be able to hold space for others. So yeah, that's a bit of a sense of what I'm bringing to the program. I also teach some other things around critical thinking and sequencing classes, and just again coming back to this whole point of, is it functional? Does it make sense? Is it beneficial for people? How do we bring in different elements of the practice so that we're not just teaching a physical practice, we're also teaching a spiritual practice, a philosophy, a way of being in the world. We're bringing in physical, mental, emotional, energetic, all of it, so that it's really honoring the full lineage of what yoga is, and not just a small part of the yoga practice. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. It sounds really, as you described now, really rich, all this, to have all this experience. And what comes to me, maybe a lot of people, not people, but students who listening right now and just thinking is it program for me? Do I need to have some experience, or so what you can suggest them, and or who is this program for?
Yeah, thanks, Zina. I'd say if you're feeling the calling, it's time. Each one of us comes to the practice, comes to yoga teacher training course in a different body, with a different mind, with a different life experience. There's no one way to be a yoga student. There's no one way to be a yoga teacher. There's no one way that's correct or one way that's incorrect. And so each person comes with a different background and different challenges in their life and in their bodies and with their minds. And each person brings a really unique energy that contributes to the experience of the entire group. And each person that comes is bringing something really valuable to the group, which they might not realize at the time. It doesn't matter. You don't need to be a quote unquote advanced practitioner in your asana practice. I often argue that, the shapes that we take is not what makes an advanced practitioner anyways. So it really doesn't matter if you have lots of experience with the physical practice or not. We'll go through the foundations of the physical practice so that people will feel competent to go through that element of the practice. And if you're feeling the calling to do it, if the heart is there, then the rest will come, is what I would say. Yeah, we really, it's a wide range of people who come to yoga teacher training. Some people have been practicing for many years. Some people are newer to the practice. Lots of people with injuries or various health challenges as well, that I think really actually enriches the entire group's experience.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can sense that community being built in this group, and how they connected and how they support each other. And for me, this is what beyond, because you get to really cultivate deep relationships with your classmates, and they do such a great work. Now they're teaching classes online, they collaborate. This is beautiful. And I know that what we're covering is what Yoga Alliance requires us to cover, but I know that there's certain things you're teaching beyond Yoga Alliance. Can you tell a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so in a 200-hour YTT, there is some curriculum that needs to be taught, which we teach, that is outlined by the Yoga Alliance. It's true. And then there's some other, first of all, each teacher is bringing with them their personality, the lens through which they see the world and the yoga practice. And for me, part of that lens is really about the holisticness through which we can work with the body and mind. And this has to do with anatomy and physiology and understanding how the body is put together in terms of what I would call relational anatomy. So we're really not focusing on memorizing the names of muscles and joints and bones and stuff. We're really focusing on understanding how is it that the wrist is connected to the elbow, to the shoulder, to the hip. And so we can put together with, we can understand the body in terms of what we call tensegrity. The human body is a biotensegrity structure, meaning it is a combination of tensional and compressive forces that work together to allow the body to be resilient, that allows for fluid movement. And when we work with the body in this way, we really create a system that feels good. I think that's really the most important thing, that we're really, not that we're avoiding things that feel uncomfortable. We are absolutely working with things that feel uncomfortable, sometimes very uncomfortable, and holding the space for people to work through that. But also looking at how do we set the body up? How do we prepare the body with this relational anatomy in mind, so that we can understand why somebody who might be having symptoms, let's say pain in their shoulder, it's not actually coming from their shoulder. It's actually coming from something further away, like the hip or the ankle. And if we can begin to put those pieces together, it's like an onion peeling back the layers. Nobody gets to 20, 30, 40, 60, 70 years old without accumulating some trauma to the physical and the mental and emotional body. And so this training is really about understanding how do we peel back the layers so we can begin to understand somebody who has a limitation somewhere in the body or the mind, both, right? We're working through both all the time. How can we get closer to the source of what's actually going on? So we're not just treating symptoms, we're not just looking at shoulder pain, but we're understanding why. And we're taking people beyond just the simple, how do I do a triangle pose, or how do I do a warrior pose, or how do I teach those things? That's important, and that's getting covered. But it's also, how do I create an experience for people so that that triangle pose or that warrior pose is transformative, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
That's great.
No, that's amazing. What comes to me too, it's great that our program is there. In the end of the program, they're getting the certification from the Alliance that they can teach everywhere in the whole world. So it's really amazing. And I think a lot of also students like questioning, okay, what exams, how all that going on. Also, I know that this year we have few students that they decided they just want to take a program without the certification. So it is another options, right? So can you tell me more about it, Simone, please?
For sure. Yeah. Thanks, Zina. So first of all, for students who do complete all the requirements and pass the exams and do all the homework, they will receive a certification from us, from ClearBeing. And they take that certification then to the Yoga Alliance, and they apply to become part of the Yoga Alliance, and then they can, yes, teach all over the world. That's an internationally recognized body for the yoga community. And for students who choose not to seek certification, that's fine as well. It's everyone's individual choice. So some people choose to do this as a space to do self-study, self-reflection, and they don't necessarily want to teach. And some people are doing this because they do want to go on to share this practice with others in a formal way. And so they would seek certification. And we have both in the program, and there's always going to be both. Sometimes people start the program thinking that they're not interested in eventually teaching, and at some point decide that actually I do want to become a teacher. And so then they do complete the requirements. So the requirements for our course, there is what we call a take-home exam, a take-home homework assignment, which covers the anatomy and the philosophy. And then we have a practical exam where the students are co-teaching a yoga class that I'm watching with Genya, and we will give them some feedback. And of course, if we feel it's in their best interest to do a little bit more practice, to get a little bit more experience before they get certified, we share that with them. We have a very open and honest dialogue with all of the students so that we can make sure they're getting what they need to be ready to teach, to feel comfortable teaching. And also, having said that, no one ever, I believe, there is a certain amount of having to kind of jump off the cliff. Some people will never feel ready, and there's an element of you just have to start. And if we have the confidence in them, sometimes, I have to hold that for the students. I know that they're ready, and we can give them a little bit of that push, of that boost if they need it. And others are ready to go, and we can see that, and they get certification and they start teaching, and that's it. It's a beautiful experience. And as a teacher, it's a tremendous gift to watch, to get to see your students begin to teach for themselves and to share the practice.
Great.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see, I'm interviewing now some of the students, and it's beautiful how they're sharing that they're studying already, share their knowledge. And one of the students was a teacher that she was already, sharing and doing some classes with the kids. So it's beautiful how it's already in.
And it's also incredible that quite few students came in the beginning and then told us that they only want to, for themselves, self-study, deepening their self-practice. And now most of them are just so eager to share, because it's so much impacted their life this 8 months so far. We have 2 more months to go. that they really, really, really want to share, and it's inspires me. Their motivation and desire to go and serve, incredible. Because what I offer, I also offer the mentorship coaching sessions for our students, and yeah, I can see that shift where they were when we started, when they just came and we had first session, and where they're now, which is huge gap. And I also look at on this as, it's a yoga teacher training and beyond for me is the leadership that people stepping into as they go to this experience.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. It's a training of, it's a yoga training, but it's also very much a training in self-study, compassion, and stepping into this role, this leadership. I love the word leadership, but that holding, I always come back to this idea of holding space, to be the one holding space for others to have an experience. And I just think that that's when people are able to do that for others, it's a real gift. Yeah, we become safer humans for our partners, for our children, for our friends. And so, whether or not you go on to teach yoga formally, I believe doing this training will transform all of your relationships, starting with the relationship you have with yourself, and then having this ripple effect outwards to all the humans you come in contact with throughout your life.
Amazing.
Wow, I think this is a
Beautiful.
so beautifully said that.
Is there anything else you want to share before we're gonna wrap? Maybe if you have a message to whoever is listening, if they feel the calling and there's something that still holding them back, what would you say to them?
I think it's really normal and natural to have to feel doubt, to feel some confusion or some conflict. Of course, there's going to be people who feel the calling without confusion or conflict, and it's great, and it's an obvious yes. And then sometimes things don't always feel like an obvious yes for us, and that's also okay. And what I encourage people to do if they feel some level of confusion or conflict is to really sit with it, to get quiet if they can, if they have a meditation practice, to meditate on it, to do their best to get out of the logical brain, because the logical brain always has answers and solutions. Sometimes it's helpful and sometimes it's unhelpful. But if we can get out of the head and into the heart, we can really begin to feel if something is the right fit for us and the right time for us. And so, yeah, I would encourage people to get quiet enough so that they can really listen at the level of their heart.
Yeah, thank you. It's well said.